Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Modern Market, where every day we discuss all things to do with the markets, the crypto market, the NFT market, the metals market, the stock market, any way we can make some or a lot of money, hopefully, online. Loaded up discussion today. We've got Bitcoin and crypto heading lower as gold and silver hit all-time highs again, ahead of another potential US government shutdown. We'll talk about that today. We'll talk the E Foundation creating a post-quantum team with $1 million prize to focus on quantum as a strategic priority in the face of Bitcoin facing a lot of quantum FUD. So ETH making its move. And finally, ZachXBT publishes investigation alleging $40 million of stolen crypto from US government wallets. We'll also talk the latest on price action and our market views at the moment. A lot of stuff is going on, as always. A lot of stuff to talk about, so stay tuned for that. I've got Legendary in the co-host seat with me at the moment. I think we'll have Brad with us shortly too. So we're looking forward to get into it. But just a reminder, friends, before we do, nothing that we say here is financial advice. The market is very, very risky. We do not know anything for sure. So please always exercise caution, use your own judgment at all times. With that out of the way, Legendary, it is Mondays, the 26th of January. How are you doing? How are you feeling?
GM, doing quite well. It's been a fun weekend. I'll talk more about later what I've been up to with my Cloud bot experiment and allowing the bot to trade. And it is also an interesting week in the markets because this move up in gold and this move up in silver is absurd. And what I started to look at more and more is on the mining side of things, on the silver mining, gold mining companies, and how the profit margins are obviously massively going up with the increase in the price of the underlying, and to try to see if I can find something, if I spin up a DCF model, if I have a silver target of say $140, $150 for this year, which is also an absurdly high target to have, but just under the assumption, to see if I can find any of these mining stocks companies to be undervalued, or if they're overvalued, fair valued, whatever. It's more a thought experiment right now than anything else. But this has been interesting to calculate and compute over the weekend as well. And I don't know. I think I need to spend more time looking at commodities. Obviously, we talked uranium, we talked copper as well. So it is a fascinating segment. And apart from having bought gold, what is it? 1.5 years, 1 year something, 1.5 years ago in a more significant fashion. I've never really gotten into understanding commodity and commodity trading. But obviously with how AI adjacent so many of these things are, I find it an interesting field to dive in and explore my curiosity with it.
What does that mean? Like how are you going to plan? So you're looking at miners, for example. What's the process that you went through this weekend to try to figure out some more stuff about the various commodity markets? Which directions did it take you? And from what you've done, what directions do you think, all right, I need to double click on that over the next week or 2 or 3?
Well, I try to understand like copper demand and copper supply, and where we're using that for copper specifically. That was one thing, and what companies we have for copper exposure. And I tried to do that analysis for some of the silver mining companies and basically do a DCF model for them. And you obviously have to make quite a few assumptions to have that model running: the WACC, the discount factor, beta factor, assumptions of capex, tax expenditure. Basically, try to understand how is the business of running a silver mine, what byproducts are there, because they're very rarely almost purely silver. It's not really realistic, and just trying to see how much of the silver mining business can I understand within the weekend. And I have some stocks that I'm looking at. I might do some buys based on that today, because if I have it in my portfolio, then I'm more committed to actually tracking that and keep adjusting as I continue to learn and explore. But right now, I don't want to share the plays yet, because it's been some little bit of weekend research. So there's too little confidence in that. But for my own accountability, I want to buy some of them and see where that takes me and what solidifying that research will mean for my portfolio.
So are you not concerned? I mean, if you look at, maybe it's worth, when should we do this? Should we get into this right now? Should we wait until maybe, I mean, let's get into it. You're talking about silver, copper, and that's going to be one of our headlines. So let's get into that then, because if you pull up the charts, which you will do in a bit, obviously there's going to be some concern at this point that you're buying a straight line vertical line. And I was going through some of my accounts over the weekend, checking like how much am I up on gold? Like, have I bought recently? Because I kind of lost track. I knew that I was getting exposure, and I knew that I was buying in reasonable size, like taking a reasonable position. Um, but I kind of lost track. Like, what's my average? Have I bought more recently? I said on the show the other day, I bought a good chunk more at 4.7. Gosh, and it feels crazy, right? Like 4.7 was a few days ago, and now we're pushing 5.1. And all of my buys were well before that. So I was trying to figure out how early I was. The thing is, it's just going in a straight line now that you can, I would bet that there is some concern out there that you're buying on a vertical line. So let's talk about that during the course of the show. I've got a really cool, some great articles I've been reading that we can share and people can then discuss and read in their own time too. Because I think that's helpful, right? It never feels good buying a straight line up, and I'm sure that a lot of people are concerned, and we don't know how that stuff plays out. But we can share our thesis and we can share our reading as well, because we're putting in the work to make sure we try to make the best decision possible. But let's get into it. We're going to get into that segment ledge, which you're going to lead in a moment, but starting with the price action to get everyone up to speed with what's happening over the last 48 hours, 24 hours or so in the crypto space. We have Bitcoin down 0.5% to 87.8K. So it's lost the 90K level. ETH is down 1% to just under 2.9, around 2.8. BNB is flat around $872, got sold down 3% to 122. We have Hyperliquid, have to scroll down increasingly on the chart now to find it, flat at 22.2, down 7% on the week. So Hype struggling at the moment, but everything is struggling too. Getting into the meme coin side of things, got Doge down 1% to 12 cents. Pepe's down a couple of percent. Pump is down a couple of percent. Pengu's down a couple of percent. SPX is down 5%. Generally red day across the memes. Fartcoin is down 3% too. So mostly red from what you can tell there, just in a few percentage points. Getting into the headlines themselves that we're going to be talking about today, as well as getting into the other bits of news. We've got Bitcoin and crypto heading lower. Gold and silver are hitting all-time highs again. Gold going above 5K for the first time. Silver, I think, going $110. So real rips in those metals. The Ethereum Foundation has created a post-quantum team with $1 million prize to focus on quantum as a strategic priority. I think that's pretty important. One of the pieces of FUD around crypto is this quantum risk. So ETH Foundation are trying to deal with that. And then finally, ZachXBT publishes an investigation alleging $40 million of stolen crypto was from the US government wallet. Very kind of a quirky, interesting story there. So that's why I elevated that to a headline. Money gets stolen all the time in crypto. Unfortunately, I thought this one had a bit of an interesting quirk. That's why I included it. And some notable price action. River has surged to an $8 billion FTV, up 40% on the day. This is one we reported last week. Justin Sun invested in. I don't know how that price action is possible, but it is. Justin Sun is involved and he's making more money as usual. Bitlayer is up 63%. Penguin, the meme Penguin, is down 21% after it went more than 100 mil. Some White House intern is operating that White House account and knows what's going on crypto Twitter. I have no idea why President Trump needed to be photographed walking around with a penguin so much over the weekend, but they understand virality on the internet at the moment, at a minimum. The Seeker token, which we announced, went up as high as 400 something mil FTV last week, dropped down 15% to 230. Crypto hardware wallet, a couple of IPOs on the horizon. I want to talk about this in a bit. Ledger are seeking a $4 billion IPO in New York. Web3 security firm Certic seeks a $2 billion IPO valuation. In other news, Hyperliquid whale Garrett, the huge Bitcoin whale, is long ETH, but it's almost round-trip gains by holding its position. Doesn't look great. I think they just brought more capital in to protect themselves if ETH continues to decline. I think liquidation is around 2.2K. ETH. ETH treasury company ETHZilla announced purchase of jet engines. to push tokenization after selling its ETH. Um, you thought you were buying an ETH treasury company. Turns out you're in the rental business for jet engines. I'm not entirely sure what the thesis is, but these teams have to pivot. Moonbird's TGE announced for 28th of January. That's in 2 days' time. And the Infinex TGE is due this week on Friday, the 30th of January. If you're holding a Patron NFT, that snapshot will be at 7 o'clock a.m. on Friday, the 30th. So you are able to claim 100,000 INX if you are holding an Infinex Patron at that time. So that is the roundup to get you up to speed with everything that you need to know. There's a couple of trends emerging for me here, Legendary, but before we get to them and before we get to the headlines, what's catching your attention? What have you been thinking about?
For me, the overarching thought from the roundup is you have a couple of TGs coming. They're coming rather sooner than later. We have a couple IPOs coming. They will need more time, obviously. But I'm very, very curious to see how the TGs will do, especially as one of them is Moonbirds, is more on the IP side, and one of them is Infinex, which is more on the trading, DeFi side of things. So to get a feeling how in this environment new tokens will do, I am very curious for that because I obviously have significant mega ETH exposure. So I will be very interested to see if I can get a read from the Moonbirds and Infinix TG on what I expect mega to do or not to do. And equally, I have farmed the Yeet airdrop extensively as well. Now, from what KBM has been saying, being KBM being Keyboard Monkey, one of the founders, that the airdrop is likely to be in Q2. They're working on the token right now. He said in the chat, but it's more likely Q2 than Q1 from what I was able to gather. Those are two plays where I expect to see some good returns, but I'm also starting to get a bit more concerned with the market, with the TGEs right now. So yeah, that is my current interest in the roundup.
Okay, I've got a couple of points on that. One, I agree. The TGs are interesting to me. These are two kind of premium ones. I know Infinex had a bit of FUD around it in attempting to do the raise. They had to reduce the valuation, etc., etc. But it's a very, very well backed team. They've got a hell of a lot of capital, got a very well known founder, and the product is good. So interested to see like how that does in the public market. So definitely very interested for that one. Moonbirds, likewise, very, very interested. It's definitely had a resurgence under Spencer. Full disclosure, I'm an investor into Orange Cap Games before they even owned the Moonbirds IP. So I'm very interested in that from a personal perspective, but also to see how, the next wave of these IP tokens or these, the next wave of IP, how that translates to market value in the open market in 2026. So I do think that's very interesting. I do think that's worth thinking about. To your point on you having farmed a bit of Yeet and some other stuff coming, like I just remember this time. Do you remember this? Like in the summer, we were so confident. It was beautiful. Like I don't know if people have noticed, I'm not tweeting that much at the moment because I don't know, don't feel like there's as much to say. I find I'm getting busy with some of the business stuff. I'm going to start tweeting more, but when I have the set thesis, I think maybe the point is I think there's so much noise in the space, and there's no need to add to it. There's no need to add to it. Sometimes you can just say the things that are important, and I felt like I said those things in the summer and before last year. And you know how we talked about Ledge, where we're like, I said at some point last year, it's like people are just in the industry to come out and pick up their check. It's like they've put the work in, and now they're going to pick up the check. There was that whole season of not ICOs, whole season of TGEs. And it's like, okay, people have put the work in, whether they farmed, whether they did a Kaito campaign or anything like that. They did that work, and then they pick up the check. And so like for the best things though, I think the whole point is you're meant to specialize. You're meant to be able to, farming is actually a little bit like being an angel investor. because instead of putting your money, you're putting your time, and putting your capital. The thing is, you're able to take your capital back, whereas as an angel, you put your capital down and then you don't see it. But it's the same principle. You're meant to be able to identify the best things. And I remember last year we said on my list was Mega ETH. Need to focus on Mega ETH. Need to figure out how to make sure we are well positioned for Mega ETH, whether that's getting a fluffle or producing content around Mega ETH. They had a Kaito board, so it made sense to try to be reasonably high on that. But we thought that that would be valuable. Infinex, for me, I was an investor as early as September 2020. Gosh, what year is it now? 26, 25. So in 24, I invested into Infinex. I thought it was cool. I thought it was interesting. All of those NFTs that I bought doubled. So I de-risked 5 out of 6 that I bought. Still holding 1 now for the TGE. And I've got a ton coming in via even that content campaign that was done. I thought it was a good product, identified that in September 2024, and then you get paid later. I think that's the season where we are in now, because we did the work before. And it's not just Mega and it's not just Infinex. We are also identified Yeet, as you said. You're, I don't know how high on the leaderboard, like incredibly high. You identify these top things and you think, okay, well, I'm going to allocate my time and attention in this direction. And I think I'm just looking at my whiteboard in the background where I've like written all these things down. I've just moved it out of camera now so people can't see. Maybe there's a couple of others that I've forgotten at the moment, but I think, we strategically position well. Sometimes it takes time for the thesis to play out, or takes time, but then it comes to fruition now. And I feel like we're in that season. And actually, for the first time in a long time, I've got a new list. The last 6 months has been about, okay, I think these things are good, do some of the things for them, and then you get paid. Whereas I think now I'm starting to create a new list so that in 6 months' time, there's going to be something to come to fruition. What are your reflections there, Ledge? What do you think of my strategy and the reading of how we kind of operated the last 6 months? The funny thing to me was I remember saying like, man, I can see it so clearly. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm. I feel that's exactly the question I wanted to ask you, but you answered it yourself. I was like, if it was the time to pick up your checks to cash in the bags, what time you think it's now? And I agree with your statement. There's kind of this hybrid time. We are still waiting for some checks to return. Another notable one, which I completely forgot to mention, is obviously Tria. Tria is not only a partner of the show.
That is on my board.
Tria is also a personal investment of mine to a quite significant extent. So that I'm curious to see, but it feels it doesn't feel very satisfying for me to just wait on these checks to pick them up. And this is why I've been like diving into the silver mines, diving into other things. And this is also why I'm trying to see, is there anything else to like actually also invest in, is in that more business angel, whatever you want to call that, capacity, or is it just buy gold, buy silver right now and chill, or sit on your gold bags and wait? So this is I feel too idle in a certain sense. I'm like super happy with all the AI stuff and the commodity learning that I'm doing, and I feel like over the last weeks I've been learning more than I learned in the last years altogether, because crypto had become such a routine, and even learning new things in crypto wasn't overly complex. So that feels satisfying. But if you know what I mean, I still kind of feel a bit too idle. Like I'm not out there hunting down deals or doing things. And maybe it is the right thing to do, but it doesn't feel quite satisfying to a certain extent.
I don't know. I think you get better at being efficient over time as well. Like, I think one of the things I've realized now is, you do get better. You do always need to like plant these eggs. I plant the eggs. I don't know. Is that the right analogy? Plant the seeds for like 6 months down the road, 12 months down the road, and that can be split between farming things, whether that's like the new perp dexes we've been talking about, the hyperliquid things that we think are good, some of the exchanges that are becoming successful, and specifically the ones that no one's talking about because they're the ones where people are protecting their points the most. And so, and we've been speaking about those on the show the last few days publicly. Um, so it's like a little bit of split between that to set yourself up for 6 months, and then also split between, okay, I think robotics is really big. I think I need to get like some private exposure to that at some point. Who knows when that's going to come to fruition? That's going to come maybe 2027. So like there's a part of you that's operating the here and now, like trading, like, okay, gold is going up in the next 3 months, for example. Then there's a part of you that's like, okay, I'm going to farm this stuff for 6 months time when they're going to TGE. And then there's a part of you which is like, okay, I might make this angel deal now and it's going to come in 2027, 2028, and it could be a wonderful surprise. And you just got to manage your risk and allocations across all of those buckets to make sure that you never get too illiquid, that you've always got something, that you've always got like some bet on the future as well. I think it's important to have like a bet further down the line as well, because it feels great turning into January and having all these things turn up, be like, yeah, we're gonna provide some liquidity. And to be clear, like as a early investor, you don't get the liquidity straight away, right? You're locked up for quite a long time, but it still feels good to have different things coming to fruition from bets that you placed at different times in the past. I think that's like something that you kind of evolve into over time. Okay, that's that. So you kind of mentioned some of the AI stuff. Just want to bring Brett in here. Brett is in the studio. I think he's up with us. Is his camera functioning or is it not functioning? I'm not 100%
It's
sure.
functioning, but it keeps doing this blurry thing, man.
Oh,
Yeah,
that is a blurry Brett.
yeah.
I
I
think.
think I'm trying. I've had this issue before, and I remember what it was, kind of. And now I need to like re-remember. I need old Brett to like come to me. And I
Okay.
think it was something to do with AI. We'll see.
I see. I see. Well, Brett, we were just talking about opportunities and how it's quite nice when you place a bunch of bets in the past and suddenly they're all coming to fruition. Like whether you're farming, whether you're placing some other bets. Like, what's your thought on that? Looking back.
Oof, oof. I'm so hyper focused on my setup right now. Like being focused and thinking about. I mean, yeah, man. Like, I'm actually really excited because like I have something interesting again. I spent all weekend finally on like a project. I can't remember the last time I had a project. And it was AI, Claudebot, all that shit. Like that's what screwed me for this morning. I had my PC, I got new cables coming in, I got a mount on my computer to do the thing, and like it's I'm all optimized. So I don't know, man. Like I've never really been motivated by money. So like the trading thing has always been off the table. I had my trader arc. I'll try to get back on it when I have more time, but like that's a dedicated thing. Like I have to be hyper fixated on it. Yeah, I don't know. I think these are exciting times. I think honestly, like yeah, it's exciting times, and I think we're in an exceptional acceleration phase right now. So like I'm fully focused on making sure that I'm not wasting time.
Exceptional acceleration. Yeah. The more you read on Twitter about like the developments that people who are playing around with this stuff are making, you realize like you as an individual will be a markedly less useful. You can be a nice person. I'm not saying you're not a good person, but like people are leveling up. And I think you do want to just keep getting exposure to what is possible by using these tools. I think that's a definite conclusion from all the conversations you guys have been having and from our experiments so far. I think we're going to have to get into the metals conversation. So why don't you just take it away, get into our first headline today, and then we can have a much bigger, robust conversation on it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Let's do that. So starting with the gold price and silver price first. Silver is up to $110. It's up 7% on the day. Gold is up 2%. It is up to almost 5.1K. And that is happening at the same time as crypto is sliding lower. We said it at the top of the show that BTC has fallen under 88K. It is sitting at 87.8K as we speak. And that has to do, on the one hand, with significant outflows in the Bitcoin ETFs. We've seen 103 mil on the 23rd, on the Friday, the day before, just 30 mil. But then at the start of the week, We had 400 million outflows on Monday, 500 mil on Tuesday, and 700 mil on Wednesday. So a total of more than 1.3, 1.4 billion in outflows in a week. And what we're also seeing is this uncertainty right now when it comes to another potential government shutdown. What is happening is that there's concerns about some friction in Congress, where Democratic lawmakers have threatened to block a Department of Homeland Security funding bill following the controversy over federal law enforcement actions that was reported via the AP and is also featured in this article on the blog, which I am sharing right now. So to sum it up, we have the stock market, which is still relatively good. We'll have to wait and see how it opens today. We have massive uncertainty in crypto, and that is showing right now. The pre-markets going back to stocks are pretty flat, so we can't say anything there right now. We'll really have to wait and see how the market will open. But what we're clearly seeing is that gold and silver have one of their best days. And that is it on the market update side of things. One more comment on that, because I thought it was hilarious. I set up my Cloud bot to trade in an autonomous way, and this post got quite some traction, got more than 1 million views. And the first trades I did, it longed Bitcoin, it longed ETH, it got liquidated on its ETH position, was trading with 3x leverage. And then once it got liquidated, it checked, okay, what else can I do? And it opened yesterday a long on silver, 20x long on silver. It closed it in the meantime, being up 60% on that. And I asked the bot, why did you do that with 20x leverage when everything else you did with 3x leverage? And the bot simply responded, lol, I just forgot to adjust the leverage slider, which is a great answer.
With a 2K wallet on Hyperliquid, how profitable is it right now?
It is basically, it got liquidated in the ETH position, got liquidated in the SOL position, but made it up with the silver trade. So it's back to being break even. And it has now a gold position, a silver position. It did adjust the leverage down, and it has a long on Nvidia, and it we'll see what it does over the next couple of days. But even the AI is like silver.
It's pretty fascinating. Amazing that this tech can be executed now. Okay, so the bigger question though, Led, you mentioned the metals all going towards all-time highs. What are we thinking here? You said you did a bit of research into miners. To what, like, how do you want to play commodities now? One big thing that you mentioned, which I've been thinking about a lot, is I have been talking, you know, we've got to be flexible as you're on the show. There's so many new things happening all the time. We've been long metals for a while, probably not in as much size as we would like, but healthily so. And I started to get more bullish on the market recently as we kind of came out in January, and the market moved up a lot. Everything kind of ripped for a bit, right? Well, especially the smaller cap stuff. And the question is, my sense is now that we're like in a really reactionary market. Politics is so much geopolitics is happening around the world. Even domestically in the US, a lot of stuff's going on. A lot of domestic turmoil. I don't know if you saw, without getting too political, like the ICE stuff that is going on at the moment in the US, where a person was killed at one of these protests just over the weekend, and so that's like stirring up the both left and right on both sides in a big way. And then of course you've got the international stuff taking place as well, with the increased tensions with Europe and the US and all the other conflicts that are going on at the moment. And now this, on top of this, you've got this government shutdown coming. And I just remember last time, like there was a shutdown not long ago, right? And it had a really, really bad effect on the markets. And my suspicion will be, if we go into another shutdown with an indefinite date for opening up, that is going to be really bad for risk. I think maybe even some of the risk is starting selling off because it's anticipating that Bitcoin's now down to 87. So yes, there were bad outflows last week, but I think looking forward, because the market is forward looking, you got to think about this government shutdown. How long is it going to last? I don't know exactly what's in dispute this time. Usually it's costs and people not wanting to compromise. But what would be the incentive to make it end? I actually think both people are kind of incentivized to keep it going because on the one hand, the Democrats will love the turmoil, I think. And they know that the Trump approval ratings are going lower, right? They're definitely going lower at the moment. And he's so I think they're not very well incentivized to end it. Equally, I was actually thinking maybe a counter position. You would think that being, Trump and the Republicans would want the markets to open up, want it to be done, want it to be all done sooner so the markets can get back to going up. But would there not be an argument to say that if they need to force the Fed's hand later in the year to cut rates, they want rates down, right? They want rates down bad. Like they really, really want rates down. Powell's not giving it to them. They're going to put their own person in there eventually anyway. And then they, I assume rates are going to come down. But would that not be better against a backdrop where things have actually cooled down a little bit? Things have actually, like, you've taken a little bit of the steam out of the market so that you can come back into the market with lower rates and then send everything higher. Like, I don't know if now is the best time to cut rates, even though that's exactly what Trump was saying the opposite of in his speech the other day, right? He was like, look, when prices go up, you should actually cut rates. They always raise rates when the prices go up. It's the opposite. They're doing it the wrong way around. It's like very critical of controlling the price via interest rates and controlling sentiment and risk. But what do you guys think? What do you think of that, Ledge? Do you have a perspective here on government shutdown? I think it's actually going to be bad near term, and I think risk is going to get is going to, to the extent it's already having, especially crypto, is already having a difficult time. But I think that's going to continue. What do you think?
I tend to agree with that. Just also to bring up Polymarket, there's a bit of extra info. The question, will there be another US government shutdown by January 31st? 8 million in volume. So significant volume. That question just shot up to an 82% chance. Just 2 days ago, that was at a 9% chance. So we're pretty certain, Polymarket bettors are pretty certain that this is going to be the case. And I do agree that this will put pressure on the markets, especially if it's extending for longer. I think we've seen that towards the end of last year, that as this is in effect and we start to get less and less data, there's even more uncertainty in the markets and where the markets are headed. So that's definitely a concern. And if that is your concern as a participant in the market, whether you're retail, institutional, whatever you are, then you will probably take some risk off ahead of this thing. And this is what we have been seeing last week with the outflows in ETFs, not related to the government shutdown, but to all the uncertainty that was reported on when it came to the language in Davos, how Trump was speaking, how the EU was even reacting and saying, yep, we're just going to stop negotiating for the moment regarding the trade deal because we just don't want to be pressured like that and have a conversation in under these circumstances. So the market was de-risking for that already. And I think it will de-risk even more if we will move into this government shutdown in January as well. And as you were speaking, my question then started to be for the short term part of my portfolio, why am I actually holding Bitcoin right now? I told you that at the end of last year, I added BTC and Hyperliquid. The Hyperliquid part of the position should be down. BTC should be pretty much flat because I obviously did not sell at 96K. I'm holding that. So all it does, it's earning trading fees. But do I really need that in the short term? Where I'm happy to rotate out of that, move in stables, buy some more gold, or just chill and wait. Doesn't change the long-term outlook that I have on BTC, but I try to treat my separate bags with separate time horizons separately and split this thinking process. And I do think that I'll do some portfolio readjustment triggered by some of the things you said, some of the things we've been discussing today, later in the day after the show.
Interesting. Yeah, I want to share. I mean, to your point about the hype Bitcoin LP, I experimented with it for a very brief time. I decided to cut my losses on the leg down from 95 to 92 or something like that. I was like, it's just not. I'd love it to be worth it, but it doesn't feel worth it to me right now. So I just opted out of that. I bought more gold last week. That was the big tranche at 4.7. So um, that was my thinking, unfortunately, and I'm in agreement with you. I think it's a bad time for risk at the moment. This article that I just shared with you, Ledge, in the chat, which maybe we can pull up, I'd encourage people to read in detail. Like, I'm not going to be able to go through all of it right now. I'm going to give like a very, very few bullet points. You must read this article. Don't like the summary I'm going to give is not long enough or sufficient enough for you to understand. It's called Silver Moon by at AB Campbell. This person used to do commodities at Bridgewater, and I listened to a podcast of him recently, and I've been reading some of his work. He's caught this whole silver move. He's like been in it for ages. Now he started scaling out of it slowly because he's been in it the whole time, for multiple years, and he had attributed this increase in demand to a variety of things, especially things coming out of China, capital flight coming out of China, India and the Middle East, European institutions also needing to get out of all bonds and equities with their 40% in that when they've been incredibly overweight that. And I think there's this long-term issue in Chinese real estate, which he has attributed to why now people do not think that is a safe investment as it might have been once upon a time. And so there's, in his opinion, for silver in particular, there's this interesting part of the article which goes into solar panels and the role that silver plays in solar panels. I know some people find this funny because it's like crypto people talking about solar panels and silver. It's like, look, we'll go wherever we need to go, guys. We'll go wherever we need to go. And whilst we're not experts, we are trying to figure this stuff out. And we might be a little bit late to it, but it's not the point. We've still got to try to figure it out. And so I think, okay, this is how he is trying to figure out if the trade is still worth going on. Like, is the trade still worth taking the risk on at this stage? He said there are 3 or 5 tells. Shanghai premium persisting, which means that there's structural not noise. I don't know if you've noticed, there's like different prices of silver. You know how all the time in China, you wake up, it's like the price in China has gone up to this. He's saying if that premium starts to stop, then you can tell like, okay, we might go cooler now. But if the premium still persists, that's, in his opinion, a good indicator. Dollar direction, strong US growth pulls up the DXY, shakes out weak hands. Minor catch up. When miners start outperforming spot, retail is arriving. So I think that's, again, you're trying to figure out when it's just like a pure retail rally instead of like actual structural demand. And in his opinion, he's foreseeing that central banks will announce silver reserves. And so that would be a key thing. Said, watch the flows, not the price. If Eastern physical demand stays, bid while Western specs puke on dollar strength. That's accumulation by the dip. If Eastern premiums collapse while COMEX inventories stabilize, the squeeze is unwinding. Take profits. So, look, we're not like the biggest experts in all of these commodities all of the time, but I do think we've identified a worthwhile article to read and some perspective to learn more about an asset class which you are learning about. So I found it super helpful. I want to share that with people. For my read, I'm like a basic investor. Sometimes I still think we go higher on the commodities now. I was trying to getting a sense just from talking to people like I normally do, like, in the same way when your friends used to ask like, oh, shall I buy Bitcoin now? And that would usually be like a top or something. I don't think people are allocated to metals in the way they should be. And I'm very, very persuaded by the idea that retail's not allocated in the way that they should be. Pension funds are not allocated in the way they're supposed to be because it's such a huge structural change that is taking place as people try to move away from the US, who they have been on a crutch on for like decades. It's a decade-long crutch that they've been on. and they're only just pushing away and trying to figure out where they're going to land after. So I think there's still some way to go. I don't know exactly where. I'm going to try not to buy in as much size as I've bought already, but I think we have some way to go for those reasons. But I encourage you to read the article and add that to your list of thinking. Ledge, what's your thinking here? Then we want to go to Brad to get into this Ethereum news, because I think it's pretty interesting on quantum.
It is a super interesting article. I have not seen that before. It is very complex. I do want to read it, understand it, and come back to that conversation, because I can't give an educated take on it right now.
Okay, that's good. Sometimes I honestly think one of the biggest things in this space is just like identifying the smart people that you need to listen to at the right points in time. And it won't always be us, but I think we will be reading and finding the people, and then you read them, and then we like try to interpret it. And then that's where you get the value. You don't have to have all the original thoughts yourself. So that's like one of my biggest reflections of being in the space for 4 or 5 years now. But that is that. I hope that was interesting. Let's get to this ETH quantum news. This is pretty interesting to me too. I'm going to be very reliant on Brad here to take us through what we need to know on Ethereum's work to get ready for.
Yeah, this one is notable. Ethereum Foundation forms a post-quantum security team, adds $1 million to research prize for researching it. So, like, just as a preface of this, everyone is kind of aware of the acceleration we're seeing across the board in technology, right? AI as the most predominant thing. You've obviously seen Claude bot on the timeline. Not to say that Claude is a sign of the end times, but there has also been a downstream debate both across the Bitcoin and Ethereum ecosystems on how we prepare for this future. And this future has quantum computing in it. And quantum computing has the ability to disrupt basically everything. A lot of the stuff that blockchain specifically is built atop of, which is cryptography, can be cracked, frankly. So like you may have seen the debates with Bitcoin where once quantum is proven, there's like 25% of, no, it's not actually 25%, but some percentage of Bitcoin that is vulnerable to just be taken. Like just straight up, they can just take it, and that'll obviously disrupt a lot of things, because the first person that gets that can basically wax the entire ecosystem, right? People are going to dump their coins. Like it's removes a lot of stability. So in accordance with like this uptick, Ethereum has announced a special task force, a specific team, the post-quantum team, and is led by Thomas, I say his last name, Koratker. And the entire intention is just that, hey, we want to make sure we're ready for post-quantum world, right? So Ethereum obviously is a smart contract platform, continuously updated till now. They're going to continue to update in a way that saves them from the quantum future potentiality, right? So they have the new leadership. They have a prize. It's $1 million to harden the Poseidon hash function, which is a critical component of Ethereum's zero knowledge proof systems. And the effort centers around lean VM. And lean VM is actually, if you guys remember, it was, I guess, probably over a year now at this point, where Ethereum said they announced the roadmap, and it was like a 5-year roadmap, the Beam chain. And everyone's like, bro, you're getting slapped by Solana right now. This thing is 5 years out. What are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. Funny anecdote from that is that Beam chain, or Beam specifically, they ran into some like IP issues. It's like them by proclaiming Beam and using Beam, someone came after them and like, well, screw it. Like, we're going to do lean now. Lean is the thing that we're doing. And that is lean VM. It's the Ethereum virtual machine. It's now the lean VM. It's this lean future for Ethereum where it's very hard and robust and simple. Anyways, they just do this because Vitalik estimated a 20% chance of quantum threats by 2030. So they're just accelerating timelines. And that's what this is initiative of. It actually follows another thing similar to this, which is Coinbase formed a quantum advisory board on similar growing concerns. And it's just an attempt to try to front run the issue. Bitcoin notoriously is slow to move, slow to adjust. And that is the FUD associated with that, which is like, it won't be ready because it takes too long for the social element or the social layer to actually adjust where it needs to.
Very, very interesting. You've been I wouldn't necessarily say outspoken, although I guess a lot of people like to ignore part of your criticisms of Bitcoin before on the security budget, for example. And you've often said, like, you know, that's an issue, but it's far away enough, therefore you don't need to worry about it now. that same thinking isn't getting applied to quantum, where it feels like now people are saying, no, you do have to deal with this issue now. I don't know why they wouldn't also have to deal with the security budget issue now then as well, if that logic is the way that they want to think. But for whatever reason that's being applied, do you think that's fair? Do you think there's any other reasons why? Like, is it political why this is getting applied now? Is it just because the price is down? Like, where do you shake out on dealing with some of these like future issues, which when the price is high, people don't seem to care. Then when the price is down, people are like, oh, you got to fix this.
Yeah. So yeah, this debate also happened for the security budget. I think the difference is the time frame in which it happened and the people who participated. Because like the security budget thing is, bro, it's a very deep issue. Like that's super nerdy, super technical. I've probably said it 5 times to you guys, and I would wager that you guys could not repeat it to me right now if I told you or if I asked you. I would say maybe legendary. B-check, I don't think you could. But like, so like very deep. But like quantum is, I think, is like just broadly accepted as like, bro, like it's just like the super unlock that's coming. It's widely accepted, understood, like at least like it's more palatable. I don't know. People are able to interpret it easier. And now that Bitcoin is bigger, the conversation is spreading even further. And now whenever the conversation is a thing, it is like it's in a time whenever Bitcoin has the limelight, right? So more people are participating, more people have an opinion, more people are doing whatever. And again, it's just like a cross industry thing. This is not a Bitcoin thing. This is the whole world thing. The security budget thing is a specific blockchain technology underlying thing. So with that, I think that's why it's getting more shine. But I do think it is very similar to the same debate. Like you see people on the Bitcoin side that are spinning up things that just like don't make sense as a rebut, which is the exact same thing that they do for the security budget. They go, don't worry guys, thermodynamics, that people want to store heat money in your computer, and therefore people are gonna fucking save you in the future. They're gonna do it for free because of heat money. Doesn't make any sense, but that's the defense. And they're doing similar stuff now with the quantum thing, but anyone who's like rational is like that doesn't hold up, doesn't make any sense. Like you're neat. They just say, oh, Bitcoin will fork, it'll be fine. Like, and then they'll choose the fork where everyone didn't get raped for $200 billion or whatever it is. And it's just, that's not how it's going to work out, because both are going to be attacked and be vulnerable. So yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So what about you, Legendary? Do you think, because I'm just doing a thought experiment here, even if they sorted out the quantum, say, for example, one of the things going on with Bitcoin's price action now is that it is not behaving like gold. Obviously, it has not been doing that for some time. Maybe some people have even said, okay, well, it's never really behaved like that. If it did, it would never have got to where it was, right? It would never have gone up so fast and become the asset that it was if it literally was just digital gold. So it's never really behaved like that. But it's certainly been underperforming all this time. Even if they fix the quantum issue, Legendary, does that matter? Like, would that mean Bitcoin's price action would be better now? Would its future price action be materially better? Or is this unstoppable flow into gold, which is, I guess, what people are comparing it against, right? It's like, are you going to buy digital gold or are you going to buy real gold? The unstoppable flow is into gold, full stop, in my opinion. And it doesn't matter how many issues Bitcoin works out. The unstoppable flow is to gold. It's 2026. The unstoppable flow is into gold. In 2021 or before, the unstoppable flow was into Bitcoin and Ethereum. It's gold right now, and silver, etc. So what do you think on that?
I'm convinced it doesn't matter right now for the price action. Obviously, it matters on a technical level. It's super important for the future of BTC, of ETH, of the entire blockchain tech. But it doesn't matter for the price action now, because assume we wake up in a world tomorrow where the quantum risks and issues are fixed by some technological miracle to happen overnight. The worries in the market are still, holy shit, what is Trump doing? Is there going to be another government shutdown? What is happening? We have no clue. It is a ton of uncertainty and volatility, and that's the reason why we're exiting BTC, and markets are stacking gold and silver, also obviously for the gold-related reason, but also for the industrial demand, which we've been speaking about on the show. And I don't think that the markets would say, oh, okay, all these things are true. Hey, but at least the quantum risk, which nobody at large takes seriously, like we looked at the reports from the research houses and the outlooks of 2026. Only one of them was concerned when it comes to quantum risks for this year specifically. So because this is not a pressing thing and markets tend to think more short term when it comes to this like emotional volatility, I don't think it would matter at all for today's, tomorrow's, the next week's, month's price action of BTC if that is fixed.
Yeah, the thing that I'm getting increasingly confident on in my short investing career from, I don't know when, 2020, 2021 onwards, and especially within crypto, but maybe this, I guess this applies across the board, is that you don't need to be the best investor. You don't need to catch a knife. You don't need to sell the top. You need to buy towards the bottom. You need to sell towards in the mania routinely. You don't need to sell it all in one go. You just can sell it across. So there's two things. But the main thing is you got to ride the wave. Ride the wave, pick the wave, identify the wave and pick it. And I guess the reason why I'm applying that here is because I'm just doing the thought experiment. I don't think if Bitcoin fixes quantum, it means that people buy Bitcoin. Right now, with everything going on in the world, the flow, the wave is in metals. Like that's been the wave. It's probably going to continue to be the wave at least longer. Like if I'm looking forward the next 4 months up until at least until the Fed, and we always say on our show, we feel most confident in the pocket of 3-month windows. Like what's the next political event? What's the next geopolitical event that could be market moving in some way? Like Trump's going to do some all-out attack on the Fed in the next 3 months. Like that's still to come. That volatility is still to come. There's already been so much volatility at the World Economic Forum, calling out Europe, calling out, so much volatility in South America and Iran, and all these things are going on at the same time. But in the US specifically, you're going to have all of this volatility. And I just can't see why that would stop the flows into the king asset, which is gold, and then maybe silver as well, and maybe all these other metals that might run alongside it on the demand side. So I feel like that's the flow. You pick the flow, you ride the wave, and Bitcoin, crypto's not the wave anymore. It's not the wave anymore. Brad, do you have some thoughts here? What do you think of this ride the wave concept?
I'm just so mad I didn't do the sized up low levy long on fucking gold, man. I had to call, and and I'm trying to recall like what the conversation was back then, right? And it was just that you saw gold being acquired by China, you saw it being acquired by India, like it was getting increased on the books, and it was basically just like a global TWAP that was being applied to the asset. Did not anticipate the consumer tail to it that is like we're seeing now. I guess it probably should have been predictable, but yeah, I mean that's all I hear about. All I hear whenever I see you talking about this stuff, to be frank.
The one thing I want to double check, and this will be an important data point, I think, to make sure that we are not just wrecking this market ourselves, is I don't think we are, because silver and metals and like other things are going because of structural demand. I think that's important. But with gold, I just want to check the thing that people, we've said it before on the show. Gold is not only gold anymore. Like gold is digital. When the people used to say you can't walk across borders with Bitcoin, sorry, you can't walk across borders with gold. You can walk across borders with Bitcoin. It's like, that's not true now. You can buy digital Tether gold. You can buy PAXG. You can buy XAUT on Hyperliquid. You can buy it on Ethereum. You can buy it on Sol. You can buy like wherever you want it. You can buy it, and you can walk across borders with it. So you can get digital, like crypto money has access to literal digital gold now. And I just want to check. I saw a chart the other day where it showed like the buying of Tether gold, and it laid it over the gold price. And I just want to like double click on it to be like, we're not running this up, are we? Just like as an industry, like crypto people with the amount of capital that's available in crypto. I don't think so, because gold is such a humongous asset.
Yeah, no way.
I'm almost certain it can't be done with the pool of capital that's only in crypto. Like on a relative basis, it's just way, way too small. But I just want to check that to what extent to what extent the flows are coming from the crypto universe, mainly to know how much it's like retail money. Like, okay, people say it's the central banks. Okay, but how much is like crypto people pumping Tether Gold and PAXG, just to know, because that's just like a consumer indicator, knowing how much is like gold in the hands of people who are buying gold because they think the world's going to end and like all of this world order, rules-based order is going to come to an end, versus crypto people who are like, right, need to buy at 5, going to sell at 6, send it. You know, that's my one thing I want to check on. But any thoughts on that before we close out, guys? I'm going to leave the final headline because it's not as interesting as this.
I'd have not a pushback, but in addition, you
push
can
back, do it, push it.
You can cross the border with digital gold, but the thing you really need to be careful about, that your digital gold actually has some physical gold which is tied to it, because a lot of the paper gold products don't have actual gold tied to them. I think it's, I don't know, 80, 90-ish%, which is just synthetically replicating the gold price, but it's not backed by physical gold. If you buy Tether gold, that is backed by physical gold, and you can physically redeem that, with the current caveat being that you have to use an address in Switzerland. Now, that is not horrible in my opinion. Say you have to flee your country for whatever reason, then you're fleeing the country and you're fleeing with your digital gold, which is still physically backed, which you can trade and sell in the new country. That works. And even if you were in a situation where you need that physically, you could still fly to Switzerland and redeem that physically there. Obviously, that requires a certain size and portfolio to be able to think like that. It's not going to work if you have, I don't know, half an ounce of gold. You're not going to fly from just let whatever country and live in Dubai, and you're not going to fly over there and fly back to redeem your 2K worth of gold. But I think it's really important with these paper gold products, no matter if they're on-chain or not on-chain, to really check if they are backed by physical gold or not. That would be my strong preference, to hold physically backed gold products. And I hold most of my gold physically either way, but that's for tax reasons. But even if I were to hold it digitally, I prefer physical backed gold.
Fair enough.
Nah.
Yeah, that's right. I think that's
nah. I just like no one wants to own anything, bro. Give me the gold representation on a perp exchange, which is all USDC, which is a 3 layers removed from $1. I'll take it because I'll be able to get that value out, I'm sure, at some point.
The one interesting final point, since it's become a gold segment, my general reading is that if you actually hold like physical silver at the moment, or frankly, even if you hold gold, you get a way worse deal. Like there's a strong argument to be made, I think, though again, I'm not an expert in this commodity, strong argument to say the best way to buy gold is on chain because you get the best price. Like if you go physically, they're gonna cut you down. There'll be a discount to spot. Always, they're always taking a bigger markup, right? Whereas when you do it on chain, there's like, it's maybe it's the same with like if you're buying it in an ETF or something like that as well. So so long as it's like actually backed by a reputable person. So I think that's fair. Okay, boys, that's the show. We are going to keep looking at these new, new old markets that we have not looked at before, in order to try and stay on top of and make sense of an increasingly changing and challenging world order. Like we're going to keep doing it. We've been navigating it pretty well so far. We're going to keep trying to do that. We do the show every single day, Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. Eastern time, live on X Video, YouTube, and you can catch us on Apple and Spotify as well. Thank you to my co-hosts, Legendary and Bread. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. Take care. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.